Enlightenment is a living vibration. It's not just a mind trip, so it's a living vibration of consciousness. And it can be transmitted and directly experienced for being in the presence of an enlightened person. That's the whole point of satsang, right? It's association with truth. So in India, they believe in satsang, darshan, all these things. And the question is it BS or is it real? Like you're a very rational person, so you said, I don't know if it's real. And I think it's good that you're full of doubts. You should be full of doubts. Because the spiritual world is full of crazy people saying crazy things. So that's very good. You're very skeptical. Be skeptical. So you should be skeptical, but at the same time believe that somewhere out there there's somebody for real. Some people are real, very few. So your original question was, how do you do this? Well, the first step is you have to believe that it exists. To use Western language, you say, does God exist, or is God just a thought? Same thing. Enlightenment is like an experience of samadhi, it's like an experience of God consciousness. That means, do you believe that God consciousness exists? Is it available? Because some people have this realization, can it be transmitted? Does it exist? If you believe that it does, you're already won half the battle. Because if you don't even believe in the thing itself, you won't put in much effort into finding out if it's real or true. But if you believe that it exists, but you just don't have the experience yet, you'll make more effort to realize it. So do you believe that it exists? Do you believe that Raman was enlightened? So that's good. So you believe in him. You have faith in him, that's good. So you've won half the battle already, you're halfway there, you're 50%. You're halfway there. When you came in here, you didn't know you were so close, but I just saved you half the time. So this works several different ways. The first way is making room inside your mind for what you don't already know. So a big part of meditation is making room inside ourselves for what we don't already know. I don't know, but I want to know. The ego is, I know this and I know that and I know the other thing. I'm smart, I'm great, I'm better than everybody else. The ego is always full of knowing. So we have to clean up. It's a big mess. So we have to clean it up and say, no, I don't already know. I would like to know, but I don't know. This creates the space. Like they say in Zen Buddhism, you have to empty your cup. The secret to enlightenment is, if you want to experience enlightened awareness, you have to transcend your mind. So thinking about it from now till doomsday won't help. Reading about it won't help. Transcending the mind is the only way there. So when the mind disappears, enlightened awareness appears suddenly. Like it happened to me when I met my guru. My mind disappeared, and the presence of the Absolute was there. In all its shining glory and all of the intensity of its vibration, it was everywhere. You know, he was just laughing. There's unconsciousness, consciousness, and superconsciousness. From the perspective of enlightened awareness, most people are in an unconscious state. The ego is unconscious of superconsciousness. Superconsciousness is aware of consciousness and unconsciousness. Consciousness and unconsciousness are not aware of superconsciousness. So the pursuit of enlightenment is the pursuit of the superconscious state. So when you wake up to the superconscious state, you become aware that consciousness itself, do you know what consciousness is? It's the ground of your experience. You're sitting on the floor, you're looking at me. There's all these pictures on the walls, there's furniture, all these objects, including your own physical form. But where is all of that appearing? It's appearing in your subjective experience of consciousness, right? So if you put your attention on your own subjective experience of consciousness right now, can you tell me where it begins and ends? Can you tell me where your own subjective experience of consciousness begins and ends? Where does your mind begin and end? You don't know. So my question is based on your own personal subjective experience right now. Does your consciousness have a beginning and an ending right now? But when you think with your mind, all of your thinking occurs within beginnings and endings, right? Even though the beginnings and endings are occurring within a context in which there is no beginning and is no ending. So enlightenment is a state of consciousness where you're aware, conscious, and you're aware of the eternal ground of your experience in every moment. So there's relative experience and absolute experience. Absolute experience is aware of the timeless, formless, beginningless, and endless eternal nature of the ground of your own subjective experience of consciousness. It's always there, but you're not aware of it because you're lost in thinking. From the minute you wake up in the morning till you go to bed at night, then you start dreaming with thoughts. So because we're always thinking and trapped in our thinking mind, we're not aware of the superconscious ground of our experience. So if you learn how to transcend the thinking process, the superconscious ground of your experience suddenly comes to the front. Usually our thoughts are in the front of our experience. The superconscious ground of our experience is in the background. When you wake up, the superconscious ground of your experience comes into the foreground and the thoughts fall into the background. What is consciousness? What does your subjective experience of consciousness feel like? What does it feel like now? Don't think too much. Your subjective experience of consciousness in this moment. You're swimming in it. What does it feel like? Liberated? Problem free? Problems only exist in your ego, they don't exist in consciousness. A long time ago, I made a statement that freedom has no history. Freedom has no history. Because in consciousness, there's no history, there's no story. So enlightenment is merely the awareness, the feeling awareness of the infinite nature of the ground of your own experience in every moment. It's always already there. So enlightenment is directly realized through transcending the mind. That's how it works every time. There's no other way to get there. It's only one enlightenment. Somebody had a small glimpse, it had an explosive realization, but it's all the same thing. Some people you meet, you say they seem to have a little bit of enlightenment. Other people you meet, you go, oh my goodness, they're very, very deep. And they're stable. Their enlightenment is very stable. It's rare. But the point I'm trying to share with you that the path to enlightenment is very direct. The mind has to be transcended. That's it. Keep it simple. The reason why people are chanting, so they to transcend the mind. The reason why people are doing pranayama is to transcend the mind. All the techniques are to transcend the mind. But the minute the mind is transcended, the infinite nature of consciousness becomes evident. Everybody's hypnotized by the same thing, by the mind. The mind's hypnotized everybody. Imagine if your parents told you when you were young, sweetheart, don't think so much. Spend time transcending your mind. Imagine if your mother told you that, your father told you that, your teachers at school were teaching you how not to be so focused on also thinking. What if they told you that there's a whole world that exists beyond the mind? You just take a little time to look for it. So we've all been hypnotized by our own minds and other people's minds. That's the problem. If you look inside most people's heads, they're lost in a story all the time, and they're suffering because they're trapped in the story. It's causing them pain and suffering and fear and anxiety and frustration and jealousy, resentment, trauma, because they're thinking about it all the time. Thinking about the personal story of their ego all the time, thinking about it all the time, thinking about it all the time, thinking about it, comparing themselves to other people, trapped in other people's ideas. It's like being tortured. So if you wake up to enlightened awareness, you feel free compared to most people because you're not living in a state of being tortured all the time. Because you're awake. You can see clearly. You're not lost in thought all the time. But there's what's called, Ramana calls it the true self. I call it the authentic self. Sri Aurobindo called it the psychic being. So this should give you a lot of confidence that there is a part of you that doesn't come from your ego. It's that's seeking for liberation through your body, mind, and personality. Liberation is always seeking for itself through us. There's a force in consciousness, it's a force of nature. It's seeking for consciousness. Consciousness is trying to awaken to itself through us. It's a force of nature that's happening through us. Sri Aurobindo called it the psychic being. So the psychic being is always seeking for itself through the body, mind, and personality of Andrew or Neon. And when you realize that, it's a very wonderful recognition because you realize that there's a force of spiritual consciousness and intelligence and energy that's present and driving this whole universe. When you awaken to it in yourself, it gives you a lot of confidence in life, in God, and existence. Because you realize there's a divine power at work here. You can feel it in yourself. So because my guru revealed this divine power to me, I can teach the way that I do. I just have to show up. I don't have to make any effort. It's not me, it's not Andrew doing it, it's the divine power working through me. And that divine power affects other people. It's not Andrew affecting anybody. The divine power doesn't come from me, it comes from my guru, it comes from lineage. Like a force of nature. So when you realize this force of nature and you experience it, it gives you faith in God. Not my will be done, but thy will be done. It's the most wonderful discovery. So, because then you realize you're not alone in the universe. The God force exists. The God force is always trying to help you, always trying to help us. If we're available, but most people aren't available because they're lost in their stories. They're lost in their suffering, so they're not available. When you become a true seeker, you start listening to the voice of God within you. If you know what to listen for, it helps to wake you up. You become different kinds of people. So you must believe me that this force is already alive within you. It's already at work within you.